You never do know what's around the bend. Big adventure or brand new friend when you're curious. I like curious jaws. Swing! Well, everything is so glorious. Sure. And everything is so wondrous. There's more to explore when you open your door and meet friends like this. Just can't miss. I'm curious, and that's marvelous. And that's your reward. You never be bored if you ask yourself, what is this? Like curious, I like curious George. Oh.
Breakfast was George's favorite meal of the day, along with lunch and dinner.
George, could you pass the pepper, please?
Uh-oh. Pepper always made George sneeze.
Are you all right? That's some mess you made. I'll go get the sponge. Ooh, except I'm late for a meeting. I have to go. Can you clean up, George? Thanks. And make sure to vacuum up all the crumbs. I saw an ant in here a few days ago. No, George, that's a bad thing. Yes. Once ants discover food in an apartment, you can never get rid of them. Never. Bye, George. Have a nice day.
George had made quite a mess, even for a monkey. Look at that, a new game, Great Ball. Before long, George had invented a lot of new games. Grape Ball, Apple Ball, Pear Ball, and now, Toast Ball. That was close. George almost stepped on an ant. Wait, an ant? The man with the yellow hat was right. There was an ant in the apartment. There were 2 ants in the apartment. Actually, there were a lot of ants in the apartment. George had to stop the ants from finding the food. George discovered that ants are good at walking over things. Ants are good at walking around things, too. George would need something bigger to block all these ants. Meanwhile, Hundley was outside checking the hallway, making sure it looked nice and tidy. An ant? That's not tidy. George was up to something. Hundley decided he'd better check. Just as Hundley suspected, George was having an ant party. George wanted Hundley to help him keep the ants away from the food. Too late. Now George would never get rid of them. Never. Was that where the ants were coming from? If George could carefully block the crack, the problem was solved. George was a genius. Except now he'd have to stay here forever. George had done it. No more ants. Where were these coming from? It took a lot of napkins and other stuff, but George and Hundley plugged every crack. No more ants could get in. Now, they just had to get all the ants that were already in out. George was amazed that the ant could carry something almost as big as it was. Hundley didn't want to study ants. He wanted to get rid of them. Maybe the vacuum cleaner would scare them away. It scared Hundley. But the ants seemed to be just fine. George decided the ant might feel safer out on the balcony. Maybe that's what George should do. Carry all the ants outside. Oh, 1 gajillion of them? That wouldn't work. George showed Hundley his discovery. Ants follow food. Maybe they'd follow it right out the door. So that was the solution. Put the food outside, and the ants would leave. And of course, they come back with their food. George had another idea. Maybe he could get the ants inside the trash can by filling it with food. The ant trap was ready. It was working. The ants crawled into the can as fast as their legs would carry them. George had to get the ants out of the apartment fast before they escaped. The ants were outside. Problem solved. Except now they had a new problem. Where would they put them? They couldn't put the ants on the sidewalk. They'd get squished. And they'd get even more squished on the street. The park. The ants would love it there. Hundley was a small dog, but he made a very big noise.
What's going on there? Hey!
George and Hundley set the ants free in a nice empty area of the park where no one would step on them. George said goodbye to each and every ant. This could take a while. It had been quite a morning, but the ants were gone and everything was okay.
George, I can't believe this apartment.
George had forgotten to clean up his mess.
Good job, George. Not only did you clean the apartment, you also took out the trash.
He did? Oh, yeah, he did.
Of course, you also shoved napkins and handkerchiefs into the wall and covered it with bandages. But I'm not even gonna ask. You just sit down and take it easy. I'll go make us some lunch.
George could finally relax. The apartment was clean, and he'd never have to worry about ants again. George enjoyed all mornings in the country, but Sunday was his favorite. Because Sunday was pancake day.
See how it's getting bubbly? That means they're ready to flip. Good job. Whoa, go easy on that syrup. It doesn't grow on trees. Well, actually, it does. No, really, it does.
Trees that grow syrup? George couldn't wait to pick some.
I mean, it's not on the tree. It's in the tree. You have to tap it. Oh, that's okay. I like my pancakes without. I'll get it. Eat them while they're hot and soggy.
Wait, they weren't out of syrup. They had plenty of trees. All he had to do was tap them.
George, why are you knocking on that tree? Huh? There's a door in there? Really? Oh, maybe this is where elves live. Huh?
So that was the problem. George needed to tap louder.
Hey!
And to borrow that mallet.
George, what are you doing?
Oh.
Are you looking for syrup? Well, first you'll have to tap the tree. Oh, no, not tap like knocking. I mean a tap like a spigot. See, you put a tap in the tree and then collect the sap in a bucket.
Yeah.
You know, I've got an extra bucket if you'd like to make your own syrup.
Wow, George, you get a whole bucket? How many pancakes could you cover with that? Ooh.
George wasn't sure, but he bet it was a lot.
Good job.
You want to try? Great! Making syrup is easy. First, you have to find a maple tree. Now, a maple tree has gray bark and deep ridges that run up and down like this. And they have 5 pointed leaves like this.
Oh. Yeah, look. The bottle tells you what kind of leaves to look for. Ah!
Then you drill a small hole angled up for best sap flow, then hammer in the spigot. No, it doesn't hurt the tree, George. Right now, it's like the trees are sleeping. They don't need their sap until spring when the weather gets warmer and they put out leaves. Got it? Now, hold on. You'll need these, too. I'll get another set from the barn. You sure you don't want any help?
No.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Oh, yeah. That one's good and gray.
Some trees were gray, but didn't have deep up and down ridges.
The bark's wrong.
Others had ridges, but weren't gray. But some trees were just right.
Here you go, George. We did it! Now all we have to do is wait. I think we tapped the slowest tree in the woods.
Thanks, George.
Hey, George?
It took a while, but George's bucket was finally full.
Ooh. Whoops, wait! I'll help you. We need a bucket lifting machine or an elevator.
Or a cow. George figured with Leslie's help, he could lift the bucket off the tap.
Ready? 1, 2. Oops.
It wasn't a whole bucket of syrup, but it would still cover a lot of pancakes.
Forgot to turn the tree off. Come on.
Okay. Pancakes? For me?
Yep, and syrup. And we made it. Well, the tree made it, but we tapped the tree all by ourselves.
Wow. Very moist.
That doesn't taste like syrup at all. Grandpa's trees must be broken.
No, no. The trees aren't broken, George. Maple syrup trees give sap, not syrup.
Sap?
Sap becomes syrup after it's boiled down. Luckily, you've come to the right place. We boil it right here at the sugar shack.
Oh, yeah!
Now, this will take a while, and if we leave it too long, it can boil over, burn, and be ruined. So we have to keep an eye on it.
Watching sap boil was a lot like watching sap drip. It took forever.
Aha, looks like it's ready. What do you say to that?
Oh, yeah!
Leslie, how did you get out?
Whoops! I think she wants syrup. Cows like syrup a lot.
Oh.
George, the syrup! It's going to boil over.
No matter how hard he blew, George couldn't cool the syrup down.
Leslie.
Maybe if they fanned it.
I thought you didn't know anything about making syrup. Well, you knew butter stops syrup from boiling over. Well, here you are, your own bottle of syrup. It takes a whole lot of sap to make a little bit of syrup.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, George. Best syrup ever.
Luckily, a little bit of syrup has a whole lot of taste.